I found out my wife slept with strippers before our wedding, and that was just the beginning. So, I 29 have been married to my wife, Emily 27 for a little over a year. We dated for about 3 years before tying the knot. I thought I was one of the lucky ones. We had the big wedding, the honeymoon in Cancun, and everyone in our lives constantly told me how perfect we were together. But here's the kicker. I always felt like something was off when it came to her bachelorette party. It was this flashy, bougie event in Miami that her maid of honor, Hannah, planned. I remember being surprised because Emily always told me she wasn't that kind of girl. She swore she hated clubs, hated strippers, hated raunchy stuff. Yet suddenly she wanted an over-the-top bachelorette bash with bottle service and male strippers. Red flag? Probably. But like an idiot, I trusted her. When she came back, she was acting weird. She was way too quiet at first, then overly affectionate for a couple of days, like trying to cover something up. I remember joking, "So, did you girls get wild?" And she laughed too hard and said, "Ew, gross, no. You know me better than that." I should have listened to my gut. I should have looked deeper into those awkward pauses, the way she deflected when anyone brought it up. But I brushed it aside. I wanted to believe she was everything she pretended to be, a sweet, loyal girl who couldn't hurt me if she tried. Fast forward to a year after the wedding, and my buddy's girlfriend casually dropped a bomb on me over drinks. What she told me blew apart every illusion I had about my wife, my marriage, and honestly, myself. And that's where this nightmare begins. It was a Friday night. Me, my buddy Jason, and his girlfriend Alyssa were hanging out at this little rooftop bar. We'd all had a couple of drinks and Alyssa got a little too comfortable. She leaned over and said, "I can't believe Emily never told you what went down at her bachelorette." I froze. Jason immediately shot her a look like, "Shut the hell up." But she smirked and said, "Oh, come on. You should know by now. Everyone else does." My stomach dropped. I pressed her, "What do you mean? What happened?" And that's when she told me. Apparently at the club, after way too many shots, the strippers took things further. What started as lap dances turned into full-blown chaos in a private VIP room. Alyssa said she saw my wife, my Emily, on her knees laughing drunk with one of the dancers' pants halfway down. And then, more. She swore Emily and her maid of honor both had sex with the strippers that night. Not just a drunken kiss or a touch, actual sex. I swear the world went silent. I asked her 3 times if she was messing with me, if this was some sick joke. Alyssa looked me dead in the eye and said, "I wish it was. But I was there. Your wife wasn't the innocent girl you thought she was that night. Everyone in that party knows." Jason tried to shut her up, but it was too late. My mind was racing. Suddenly, all the weird behavior made sense. The vague stories about the party, the way Emily came home and practically attacked me in bed like she was trying to overwrite something in her head. And the worst part? Alyssa said Emily's exact words after it happened were, "What he doesn't know won't hurt him." That line hasn't stopped replaying in my head since. I went home that night in a daze. Emily was curled up on the couch, smiling at me like nothing in the world was wrong. I kissed her forehead out of habit, but inside I was screaming. My wife, the woman I thought I knew, had already betrayed me before we even said our vows. And now I had to figure out how to confront her. I couldn't sleep that night. I just lay there staring at the ceiling, my chest tight, my mind racing through every memory of that weekend she went to Miami. Her drunk laughter when I picked her up from the airport. The way she smelled like men's cologne under her perfume. How she suddenly wanted to tear my clothes off the second we got home, like she was desperate to erase something. I had ignored every sign. The next morning I couldn't hold it in anymore. I walked into the kitchen where Emily was making coffee, acting like the picture-perfect wife. I said, trying to keep my voice steady, "I need to know the truth about your bachelorette party." She froze, spoon halfway to the mug. Her face drained of color. "What are you talking about?" she asked, her voice just a little too sharp. I pushed. "Did you hook up with one of the strippers that night?" She laughed, this nervous, fake laugh, and shook her head. "Oh my God, where is this coming from?" "No, of course not." "Who told you that? Was it Alyssa?" "You know she hates me, she's jealous of us." The more she talked, the more I saw her unravel. Her hands shook, her eyes darted everywhere but at me. I pressed harder. "Emily, look me in the eye and tell me you didn't cheat on me before our wedding." Her bottom lip trembled. She set the mug down and suddenly tears spilled down her face. She dropped to her knees, clutching my hands. "Baby, please, it was nothing. I was drunk. They pushed me into it. I didn't even know what I was doing. It didn't mean anything, I swear." My whole body went cold. So it was true. I yanked my hands away. "So you admit it? You slept with him?" She shook her head furiously. No. Well, her voice cracked. It wasn't like that. It was just a stupid mistake. A blowjob, okay? But it wasn't real sex, not really, not how it counts. I didn't even finish him. I was just trying to be fun for my friends. Please don't look at me like that. I love you, you're my husband, you're my whole life. She was sobbing now, clutching at my legs, begging, bargaining, throwing every excuse at me. And all I could think was, this woman lied straight to my face for over a year. She let me marry her, share a bed with her, build a future with her, knowing she had already destroyed everything before it even started. That was the moment something inside me broke. I swear I couldn't breathe. Watching Emily kneel on the kitchen floor, mascara smeared, snot running down her face, grabbing at my legs like a child, it didn't make me feel powerful. It made me feel sick. Because no matter how much she begged, I couldn't erase the image that Alyssa painted for me. My wife on her knees for another man, laughing, careless, before our vows even left her lips. I walked out, drove around for hours, parked at some empty grocery store lot and just sat there with my head against the steering wheel. The anger came first. A white-hot rage that made me want to smash my fist through the dashboard. Then came the sadness, the humiliation. I actually cried, and I haven't cried since my grandfather's funeral. I kept asking myself, how could she do this? How could she kiss me on the altar, swear forever, knowing she had already betrayed me? But here's the worst part, I still loved her. That's what kills me. I didn't want to throw away 3 years of dating and a year of marriage just like that. I wanted to believe her sobbing apologies. I wanted to swallow her lies about it, not meaning anything. So like a fool I tried. I stayed. For 2 months I tried to forgive. We went to counseling. She clung to me like a shadow, checking in constantly, cooking dinner every night, giving me sex whenever I wanted as if her body was some kind of apology currency. But the cracks only deepened. Every time I touched her, my brain screamed, this isn't yours anymore. Every time she said I love you, I heard her laughing with some random guy's dick in her mouth. And then the skeletons started to fall out of the closet. One by one. First, a late-night text from her friend, Derek, that she swore was nothing. Then her little cousin casually mentioning that time Aunt Emily kissed someone at a New Year's party. And finally, a drunken voicemail from her own sister that said, you know she's been wild since high school, right? You're not the first husband type she's cheated on. It hit me, this wasn't a one-time mistake. Emily wasn't who she pretended to be. She was a professional liar who had been fooling me, and everyone else, for years. And the more I dug, the more twisted it got. Once the first crack appeared, the whole facade collapsed. I started digging, checking old messages, scrolling through her social media history, asking subtle questions when she was too drunk to think straight. And what I found was worse than anything I imagined. Turns out, the bachelorette wasn't her first time cheating. Not by a long shot. There was Derek, the old college friend she swore was just a buddy. I went through her iPad, stupidly synced to her iCloud, and found sex from him. Months before our wedding. Things like, wish your husband could fuck you like I can, and her replying with selfies and lingerie I had never seen. Her cousin wasn't lying about New Year's either. I confronted Emily about it and she crumbled instantly, on her knees again, sobbing, begging, swearing it was just a kiss, and that she was drunk and hated herself afterward. But then I found out it wasn't just a kiss. She had disappeared for 2 hours at that party. Everyone knew. Everyone but me. And the worst one? A message thread with her own maid of honor, Hannah. They talked about covering for each other, laughing about how I'd never find out. Hannah literally wrote, "Girl, you always get away with it. He's too nice, too trusting." I thought my stomach couldn't drop any further, but then I met her family's reaction. When I told her mom about what I knew, hoping for some support, she looked me dead in the eye and said, "Well, men cheat all the time. You should be grateful she chose to marry you at all." Her dad? He didn't even flinch. Just shrugged and muttered, "She's always been like that. She'll grow out of it." That's when it hit me. Emily wasn't just a liar. She was raised in a family of liars, manipulators, people who bent reality to fit their selfishness. No wonder she thought she could live 2 lives and I'd never catch on. Meanwhile, my parents, God. My mom cried when I told her. She said, "Son, you deserve so much better. She's poisoned you." And my dad, normally the calmest guy in the world, slammed his fist on the table and said, "You're not staying with her. Not after this." But I wasn't ready to walk away yet. Because somewhere deep down I still wanted to win. I wanted revenge. I wanted her to feel even a fraction of the pain she had dumped on me. And that's when I started planning. At some point the pain burned itself out and hardened into something else. Cold, sharp, and focused. Revenge. Emily thought she had me wrapped around her finger. She cried on command, threw herself at my feet, promised me the world if I just gave her one more chance. She made herself look so weak, so pitiful, like a stray dog begging for scraps. And honestly, for a while it worked. But the more I uncovered, the more I realized I wasn't dealing with a heartbroken wife who made a mistake. I was dealing with a serial liar who thought she was untouchable. So I decided to teach her otherwise. First step, I played the forgiving husband. I told her I wanted to work on us, that I believed she could change. She ate it up. She thought I was buying her act, that I was the same gullible idiot she married. Second step, I gathered evidence. Screenshots of texts, copies of her secret emails, even bank statements showing she was funneling money to a hidden account, money she'd stolen from ours. Every skeleton I could drag out of her closet, I documented. Third step, I got my family involved. My dad hooked me up with a lawyer. My mom collected witness accounts from friends who had seen Emily with other men. Even Jason, my buddy, quietly gave me info Alyssa had told him but hadn't shared with me directly. Piece by piece I built the case. Fourth step, I planned the reveal. Not a screaming match, not another pathetic crying session where she'd beg and lie again. No. I wanted maximum humiliation. I wanted her family, my family, everyone to see exactly who she really was. And the timing? Perfect. Our anniversary dinner. Both families invited. A fancy restaurant, candles, speeches about love and loyalty. While Emily thought she was getting roses and a heartfelt toast, I was preparing to burn her whole house of lies to the ground. And the thing is, she had no idea. She was smiling, glowing, acting like the doting wife in front of me, while behind my back she was still messaging Derek, still sneaking around with lies. That made it even sweeter. The night of our one-year anniversary was supposed to be her victory lap. Emily had been strutting around the house all week like a queen. She bought a new dress, made reservations at an expensive Italian place, even practiced her "I'm so lucky to have such a perfect husband" speech in the mirror when she thought I wasn't listening. She had no clue I was loading the gun. Both families showed up, mine, solid and supportive, sitting stiffly because they knew what was coming. Hers, loud and smug, already half drunk on the house wine before the appetizers hit the table. Emily sat beside me, holding my hand like it meant something, batting her lashes, leaning into me every time someone mentioned forever. She was glowing. She thought she'd won. When it was my turn to speak, I stood up, glass of champagne in my hand. I smiled at her, and I swear I saw her melt a little, like she believed the performance. Emily, I started, when we got married a year ago, I thought I had found the woman of my dreams. Loyal, kind, faithful. But over this past year, I've learned that not everything is what it seems. The room shifted. Chairs creaked. My mom's face was pale but steady. Her mom chuckled nervously. Emily blinked, her smile faltering. I reached into my jacket pocket and laid a small stack of printed screenshots on the table. Texts, emails, pictures, evidence. While I was planning our future, you were busy blowing strangers at your bachelorette. While I was saving money for a house, you were sneaking it into a secret account. While I was loving you, you were laughing at me with your friends, calling me too nice, too trusting. Gasp. Forks clattering on plates. Emily's face crumpled instantly. She dropped to her knees, right there in the restaurant, clutching my leg, sobbing. Please, baby, no, it's not what it looks like. I can explain. Please don't do this here. But I didn't even look at her. I turned to her parents and said, you raised a liar. A cheater. A manipulator. And I'm done being her victim. Her dad muttered something about me being dramatic. My dad stood up and said, no, he's finally standing up for himself. The restaurant felt like a courtroom. Everyone staring, forks frozen in midair, waiting for the verdict. Emily was still clinging to my leg on the floor, sobbing, her makeup smeared into black rivers. Please, please, I'll do anything. I'll go to therapy every day, I'll never drink again, I'll cut off all my friends, just don't leave me. Her mom suddenly snapped, slamming her wine glass down so hard it cracked. Enough, Emily. Get up. You're humiliating us. Then she turned to me and hissed, every man slips up. Why can't you just forgive her? Be a man and handle it privately instead of airing it like dirty laundry. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Forgive? Like I was supposed to shrug it off as if she forgot to do the dishes? Then her dad chimed in, shaking his head. Son, you don't throw away a marriage over some fun before the vows. You think your own father was a saint before he married your mom? My father's face went red. He stood up so fast his chair tipped. Don't you dare drag me into your excuses. My son deserves better than this circus you call a family. That's when her sister Rachel piped up, drunk and giggling. Oh, come on. Everyone knows Emily's always been wild. You should have expected this. Emily shrieked, shut up, Rachel, but it was too late. The whole table caught it. Another skeleton slipped out without warning. I looked at my wife, or ex-wife-to-be, shaking, weeping, trying to hide behind her lies, while her own family openly admitted this wasn't new. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This was who she was. The weight of it crushed me and freed me at the same time. I put my napkin down, looked her straight in the eye and said, I'm done. File the divorce papers. You'll hear from my lawyer. Her scream echoed through the restaurant as I walked out with my parents behind me. I'll never forget the sound, desperate, broken, like she finally realized she'd lost the one person dumb enough to love her through all of it. But that wasn't the end. Not even close. Because the very next day, another secret came crawling out of the shadows. And this one made everything worse. I thought the anniversary ambush was the end. I thought I'd delivered the knockout punch, walked away with my dignity, and left Emily to drown in her lies. But the universe wasn't done with me yet. The very next morning I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, figured it was spam. But when I picked up, a man's voice said, You don't know me, but you need to hear this. I've been seeing your wife. My heart stopped. I asked who the hell he was, and he introduced himself as Marcus, some gym trainer she'd been seeing for the past 6 months. 6 months. Meaning while I was already trying to forgive her for the bachelorette betrayal, she was still sneaking around with him. And the kicker? He didn't even call to confess out of guilt. He called because she ghosted him after our blow-up at the restaurant. She blocked me on everything, he said bitterly. Guess she figured you'd take her back and she wouldn't need me anymore. Thought you should know. I swear my vision went black. 6 months. That meant late nights, working late, the sudden obsession with yoga classes, the extra showers before bed. She wasn't healing. She wasn't changing. She was living a double life under my roof. When I confronted her with it, she absolutely lost it. She threw herself at me, sobbing, clawing at my shirt. He meant nothing, I swear. He was just an outlet. I was so stressed after you found out about the bachelorette. Please, you're the only one I love. She was on her knees again, begging, crying, promising to cut him off forever. But this time I didn't even feel sad. I felt disgust. Because here was the truth. The bachelorette wasn't the beginning. Marcus wasn't the end. Emily had been lying since the start, collecting secrets like trophies, thinking she'd never be caught. And her family? When I told them, they shrugged. Her mom literally said, well, men do it all the time. Why is it so different when women do? That was when the switch flipped. I wasn't just leaving. I wasn't just divorcing her. I was going to make sure she felt every ounce of the humiliation she had forced on me. The revenge plan was no longer about exposing her lies. It was about taking everything she thought she had power over, and burning it down. The moment Marcus hung up, I knew what I had to do. Emily thought she could juggle me and her side piece like she was some reality show star. She thought she could cry her way back into my life while keeping her little boy toy on standby. Not this time. I started with Marcus. I tracked down his socials. Easy, since he was one of those gym bros who posted shirtless mirror selfies every 2 hours. Turns out he had a girlfriend. A long-term one. A girl named Tessa who'd been with him for years. I sent her everything. Screenshots, texts, even the gym check-ins Emily had bragged about. Tessa blew up his life in a matter of hours. Public posts calling him out. Tagged his clients. Tagged his gym. Within 2 days, Marcus was jobless and single. Emily, of course, went feral. She stormed into the bedroom, screaming at me, mascara already streaked down her face. Why would you do that? He doesn't matter, I told you that. I laughed in her face. If he doesn't matter, why were you fucking him while I was paying for this house? She collapsed again, her favorite position, on her knees, grabbing my hands, pressing her face into my stomach like I was supposed to comfort her. Please, baby, I'm broken, I don't know why I do these things, I just need you to save me. But I was past saving her. Next came Emily's reputation. Remember all those skeletons? The texts, the secret bank account, the lies? I made sure every one of them landed in the right inboxes. Her boss. Her best friends. Even her church group that thought she was some sweet, faithful wife. By the end of the week, everyone knew. She wasn't Emily the doting wife anymore. She was Emily the cheater. Emily the liar. Emily the fraud. Her family tried to shield her. Her mom screaming at me over the phone that I was destroying her daughter's future. Her dad muttering about lawsuits that never came. But the truth is they couldn't protect her anymore. For the first time since all this started, I felt powerful. I felt like I had taken my life back. And the best part? I wasn't done yet. Once the blast radius of my revenge spread, Emily's life turned into rubble. Marcus had ghosted her completely after his girlfriend exposed him. Her friends stopped answering her calls. Even her coworkers started whispering behind her back after the screenshots I accidentally leaked found their way around the office. And when she realized she had nothing left, she came crawling back to me, literally. One night, I was sitting on the couch, half watching Netflix, half scrolling my phone. She walked in wearing one of my old hoodies, no makeup, eyes swollen from crying. She dropped to her knees right in front of me and grabbed my hands so tight my knuckles popped. Please, please don't leave me. I'll do anything. I'll delete every account, I'll never speak to another man again, I'll have your kids right now if that's what you want. Just don't throw me away. Her tears soaked into my jeans. She pressed her face into my thighs, sobbing, promising the moon and the stars if I just gave her one more chance. And for a split second, I almost felt pity. Almost. But then I remembered the bachelorette. The text. Marcus. The New Year's kiss. The way her family mocked me instead of holding her accountable. Every humiliation burned through my pity like acid. I pulled my hands away and said, "You didn't cry when you were sneaking out to fuck Marcus. You didn't beg when you were on your knees for a stripper. Don't beg me now. It's over." She wailed, threw herself on the floor, pounded her fists like a toddler mid-tantrum. She screamed that I was cruel, that I was kicking her when she was down, that I'd regret this forever. Her mom even showed up at my door 2 days later, hissing that I was a monster for abandoning her when she needed me most. My dad had to step in and escort her off the property. Emily didn't just want forgiveness. She wanted control back. She wanted me back in the role of the nice, trusting idiot. But that version of me was dead. Just when I thought I had uncovered every dirty secret, the universe handed me one more, the final nail in Emily's coffin. It came from the most unexpected place, her cousin Rachel. The same one who had let it slip at dinner that Emily had kissed someone at New Year's. She called me late one night, voice slurred from wine but deadly serious. "You don't know the half of it," she said. "Emily's been like this forever. And she didn't just cheat on you with Marcus or those strippers. She cheated with someone closer. Someone you know." My blood ran cold. "Who?" There was a long pause, then Rachel whispered, "Jason. My best friend. My drinking buddy. The guy who tried to shut Alyssa up the night she spilled about the bachelorette." At first, I didn't want to believe it. But Rachel swore she'd seen Emily and Jason sneaking out together at a lake house party months before our wedding. She said they disappeared for hours, came back flushed and laughing, and everyone just didn't tell me. I confronted Jason the next day. He didn't even deny it. He just lowered his head and muttered, "It was a mistake, man. It only happened once. I didn't know how to tell you." My knees almost buckled. Not only had my wife betrayed me in every way possible, but my so-called best friend had been part of it too. When I told Emily I knew, she broke down in the ugliest way I've ever seen. On her knees again, clawing at her own face, screaming, "It didn't mean anything. I was scared, I was drunk, I thought you'd leave me if you knew how bad I was." My mom cried when I told her. My dad cursed loud enough to shake the walls. Even Emily's father muttered, "Jesus Christ, Emily," for the first time sounding ashamed. And me? I just felt empty. Like every drop of love, anger, and pity had drained out of me, leaving nothing but cold resolve. There was no fixing this. No more begging. No more bargaining. The divorce wasn't just inevitable, it was liberation. Filing the papers felt like ripping off a bandage that had been festering for months. Painful but necessary. My lawyer said it was one of the ugliest cases he'd seen, not because of the assets. We didn't own much beyond the house and a couple of joint accounts, but because of her behavior. Emily turned the divorce into theater. At mediation, she cried so hard she had to be escorted out for water 3 times. She showed up in conservative dresses, clutching tissues, whispering to anyone who'd listen that I was cold and unforgiving. She even tried to argue that her cheating shouldn't count because it was before the wedding vows. My lawyer nearly laughed in her face. The lies didn't stop. She tried to hide the secret bank account, but I had already provided the statements. She tried to paint Marcus as a stalker, but his ex-girlfriend testified that Emily had chased him. She even had the audacity to ask for spousal support, claiming she had sacrificed her reputation for our marriage. The judge didn't buy it. Not one bit. What really sealed it was the stack of evidence. The screenshots, the photos, the witness statements. The courtroom went silent when the texts between her and Jason were read aloud. I watched her face crumble in real time, mascara running, body shaking. Her family tried to spin it too. Her mom gave me the death stare the whole time, her dad muttered that I was ruining her life. But even they looked exhausted by the end, like they couldn't keep pretending their daughter was anything but a disaster. When the gavel finally came down, it felt like chains snapping off my body. Divorce granted. No alimony. I got to keep the house. She left with nothing but her clothes, her lies, and her crocodile tears. As she shuffled out of the courtroom, she turned back to me one last time, whispering, "You'll regret this. No one will ever love you like I did." I laughed. Thank God for that. And for the first time in a long time, I actually felt free. The day after the divorce was finalized, I woke up alone in my house. No screaming, no fake apologies, no mascara-stained tissues on the counter. Just silence. And for the first time, that silence felt like peace. I realized I had been living for Emily for years, bending myself into whatever shape she wanted, ignoring red flags, sacrificing my sanity to keep her happy. Now, I was finally free to live for me. I threw myself into the gym. At first it was just to burn off the anger, but soon it became therapy. Every rep felt like I was sweating out the poison she left in me. I dropped 20 pounds, put on muscle, and started sleeping better than I had in years. I picked up hobbies I'd abandoned when I met her. Guitar, hiking, even painting, something I hadn't touched since high school. One night I signed up for a cooking class on a whim. Turned out I loved it. And then came the travel. I booked a solo trip to Colorado. Mountains, fresh air, no one to lie to me or beg at my feet. Standing on top of a ridge at sunrise, I felt something I hadn't in years. Alive. My family noticed the change immediately. My mom hugged me and said, "You look like my son again." My dad, not much of a talker, just clapped me on the shoulder and muttered, "Proud of you, kid." Even my friends rallied around me. The real ones. Not Jason, he was dead to me, but others who had quietly watched me suffer and now wanted to see me win. Meanwhile, I kept hearing whispers about Emily. How she was spiraling. How Marcus wouldn't take her back, how Jason's girlfriend dumped him and he moved away, how even her job was hanging by a thread. She was still out there begging, still lying, still trying to stitch together a life from the ashes she created. But me? I wasn't looking back. For the first time in years, the future didn't scare me. It excited me. It's been 6 months since the divorce, and looking back now, I barely recognize the man I was when this all started. Broken. Blaming myself for her lies. I see things clearer now. Emily didn't just cheat at her bachelorette. She cheated long before and long after. She lied to me, to her friends, to her family, to herself. She was addicted to chaos, to being wanted, to living two lives. And I was just the safe bet, the husband she thought would always forgive, always trust, always stay. But I didn't. I walked away. I burned her mask down in front of everyone. I made sure she couldn't keep hiding behind her fake innocence. And in doing that, I found myself again. I'm not going to pretend it was easy. Some nights were brutal. The loneliness hit hard. The anger flared back up when I saw couples holding hands at the grocery store. The what-ifs haunted me. What if I'd listened to my gut earlier? What if I'd walked away before the wedding? What if I'd just been enough? But here's what I learned. Her betrayal was never about me. It wasn't because I wasn't enough. It was because she was never satisfied, never honest, never whole. And that's not on me to fix. If you're reading this and you're in the same place, if you're staring at your partner's phone with shaking hands, or ignoring your gut because you're scared of the truth, listen to me, you deserve better. Don't waste years trying to heal someone who doesn't want to change. Don't let their lies rot your soul. Walk away. Choose yourself. Rebuild. Because the best revenge isn't humiliating them or exposing them or watching them fall apart, though I'll admit that part feels pretty damn good. The best revenge is living a life so full, so peaceful, so honest that their memory doesn't haunt you anymore. And that's exactly what I'm doing now. I have many other stories. Go to my channel, subscribe so you don't lose us. Give me a thumbs up.